Hello and welcome to Looking North with myself, Alex Jensen. This is a new segment in which we're going to take this moment to go deeper into North Korea related issues. And they are far and wide. Today, we're going to start with China and whether its feeling towards North Korea has recently soured. And if so, what would that mean? Global headlines after Russian President Vladimir Putin visited Pyongyang last month raised collective concern about China's position. NBC News' story began, as Russia and North Korea grow closer, China keeps its distance. That echoed Reuters with China keeps its distance as Russia and North Korea deepen ties. Then there was the New York Times, Russia and North Korea's defense pact is a new headache for China. And The Diplomat put it this way, caught between allies, China's North Korea dilemma. So there is this concern as the United States and its allies see China as a key influence on North Korea being suspected of supplying weapons to Russia for use in Ukraine. And there's this worry that Russia could effectively embolden North Korea's nuclear program, could place nuclear weapons even within North Korea's borders that China wouldn't like so close to home at all. So North Korea's been taking actions that also risk upsetting China in recent weeks. Amid all that, China's been accused by, for example, analysts in the United States of inaction. But China surely wouldn't simply sit back and let Russia take over its influence over North Korea. Actually, there are in fact signs of Chinese action. For example, the Chinese government is believed to have demanded that North Korea bring back all of its workers in China, according to a source cited by Yonhap news agency this week. All UN member states were supposed to have repatriated North Koreans earning income in their jurisdiction by the end of 2019, but around 100,000 are thought to still be in China. So losing wages would be a major loss of hard currency earnings for the North. Yes, it takes those wages from the workers. So China remains North Korea's overall primary economic partner in the face of global sanctions as well. And if you look at North Korea's exports to China, they have rebounded beyond pre-COVID-19 levels. All the more significant because during the pandemic, North Korea totally shut its borders. If we look more closely at Chinese data, North Korea's imports from China reached $688 million from January to May of this year, while that was still not as high as $932 million during the same period in 2019. North Korean exports to China stood at $152 million between January and May this year, up from $94 million in 2019. By comparison, North Korea's exports to Russia in 2019 were in the region of just $3 million. And while weapon trade for Russia's use in Ukraine would have changed that, China is by far the North's most important economic ally. And of course, officially, as far as Pyongyang and Moscow are concerned, there is no arms trade between them. So, any Chinese actions that hurt North Korea's economy are going to be significant. And it has taken other recent steps too that build this overall picture here. China is also understood to have tightened customs clearances of its exports to North Korea and intensified crackdowns on smuggling. There were even reports earlier this year that a North Korean diplomat in Beijing had his home searched by Chinese authorities as part of a smuggling investigation. And remember that meeting between Kim-Jong-un and Xi-Jinping in China in 2018? On the outskirts of Dalian, a footprint memorial had been created honoring that occasion, with two pairs of footprints left symbolizing the two leaders facing the same direction, side by side. As reported by South Korea recently, black concrete now appears to cover the area where those footprints had been. And when China starts taking measures like that, you know they're not happy. Officially, they are respecting dialogue between North Korea and Russia in Beijing, but China must have been upset by a North Korean spy satellite launch in May that took place shortly after, within hours of Chinese Premier's trilateral summit in Seoul. Speaking of satellites, since just a day after that Kim-Putin summit in Pyongyang last month, North Korea has been transmitting state-run TV broadcasts using a Russian communications satellite instead of the Chinese one it had been using. Well, China played down the significance of that. But if we look at the overall messages of the last few weeks, maybe even months, there have been clear messages, signals from China to North Korea. It's engaged in high-level dialogue with South Korea as well, remember, while Putin was in Pyongyang. That's another important point. There was also the backdrop of the 1990s when North Korea-China ties dipped over Beijing and Seoul forming diplomatic relations, and it's kind of reminiscent of that. Then again, 2017 we saw high tensions when China supported UN Security Council sanctions against North Korea. And ironically, this is the North Korea-China Year of Friendship, marking the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations. The fact they've had so many ups and downs over that time solidifies the long-term basis for their alliance. China also maintains that economic leverage I referred to before, while on the other hand, Russia attracts global pressure, the kind of scrutiny China does not want. Its ties to North Korea may be more transactional, more short-term, while that Ukraine conflict's ongoing. And China, while there are still tensions between Beijing and the United States, may actually be doing a lot beneath the surface to maintain regional stability. We'd love to hear from you, by the way, if you want to have your comment on this issue. If you enjoy looking north and questioning North Korea-related activities as we go forward with this segment, we'd also therefore love you to spread the word about what we're doing. And that's really helpful in that regard if you can give us a like and a subscribe. Until next time.